Hello and welcome back to the MT Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. My co-host right here is Kyle Heath. This is the show where we cover basically like last week's gaming industry related news. This week we're going to be diving into Valve, talking about abandoned games. Kind of interesting. A little bit of a topic on what Battlefield is up to in EA. It, honestly, I'm most excited for that just because I'm a huge shooter fan and I want all my friends to be on Battlefield. But yeah. And then we're talking deep diving into Kingdom Come Deliverance too, which would be pretty cool. And Dr. Disrespect's Midnight Society. So that'll be kind of interesting. But before we get into it, Kyle, how you been, dude? What have you been up to? I hope you've been gaming. You were talking about like IRL personal stuff before we really dived into it, into the pod. But have you been gaming at all?
Oh, dude. Yeah, Mike, I'm playing Witcher 3, dude. Kidding me?
Oh, you're still
Have I been
grinding it.
game? Dude, yes, dude. I'm grinding that game hard. Um,
Nice.
I think, yeah, dude, I'm pretty sure I still have, like, probably a third to a fourth of the game left, the main story anyway, left. So,
You've been grinding them.
yeah. I mean,
That's no joke.
it got to a point this week where I spent, I don't know, I probably spent like a solid 4, 6, maybe even 8 hours just exploring the world, collecting the oils and the bombs and
Oh,
trying to get all the
that's
schematics
yeah.
for everything. And dude, I just got lost
They
in
have
it, man.
elixirs in that game, don't they? I think so, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess you can call them that. I mean, so there's potions, right? I mean, there's potions,
Yeah.
there's
I always call
decoctions,
them
which are,
elixirs.
yeah,
Yeah.
which pretty much that. Yeah, dude, but like, it's one of those things. Like, once you realize, like, or at least once I realized, like, pretty much every monster you slay, the mutagen or like the whatever you loot from them is used for some sort of like decoction that essentially gives you some like insane like boost or skill or
Oh wow.
something
Yeah.
for like 15 minutes typically is how long they last
Yeah.
after you pop it. So it's like everything you beat, it's like you want to slay all the monsters to figure out what they can give you in terms of like a boost or like a potion that you can use later on. And so there's little, I mean, there's like kind of an incentive there to kill the monsters. There's also a ton of just random other like potions and stuff that aren't related to any of that stuff at all. Where it's like you have to find and collect all the different like scripts, and you can literally find a lot of them by just looting the world, or you can go to different vendors around the world and try and purchase depending if you have all the money. Which, by the way, I made it to a point of the game where like I was like struggling for cash, and then I did that. I did kind of the monster hunting slash just world exploration for a while, like helping out
Right.
camps and stuff like that. And I ended up getting like like a little amount of money. It wasn't anything crazy. I think it was like 1 to 2K or something like that, which was way higher than what I had before. Literally just from like killing enemies and selling the swords and like whatever they drop. I made a ton of money, and then and like I started. I want to say it probably made it. I don't know if this exactly is the half point, but I made it past another significant point in the game. When you make it past that point, you get like a huge lump sum of coins, and so it's like all of a
Oh
sudden I was
yeah.
just like rich all of a sudden. I was like, oh, sick. So I was like, I was going to different stores buying stuff, and I was able to like pretty much every store I go to now. I check and see if they have any like scripts for whether it's bombs or potions that I can literally just buy, read, and then make. So I don't have to actually like find
Oh
it in the
yeah, that
world.
would yeah.
Um, so yeah, dude, it's
That's a good idea.
it's
So it's kind of like blueprint like plans for you to upgrade your
pretty
guy
much, yeah.
virtually for free so long as you get the stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, yeah, it's just like it's crazy how like nuanced and deep everything gets and how many little things you can collect to like help boost your performance in combat or like kind of
Oh,
just
that's so
make your
sick.
overall experience better in some way. Like there's just so many different things in the game that you can do, and I see why people have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and in some
Oh,
cases
easily.
thousands of hours in this game. I mean, it's like there's certainly a lot you can do. It's like I'm doing all this. I'm still I still have a decent amount of the main story left. I feel like I'm not really near the end per se. So it's like we have the main story, and after that, there's like a whole almost another like main story's length worth of like DLC content to play. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm finishing this before Valve. But hey, I at least want to try and finish the main story. I definitely am not gonna be able to finish DLC or anything, but if I
I
can get
feel
through the
like
main story, I'll pretty good.
yeah, you've had to been grinding. So what platform are you playing on? Are you playing like Steam or Xbox or
Yeah,
what?
I am playing on Steam. I could probably
Okay.
just like pull up my library real quick to tell you how many hours I actually have.
Yeah, go
Um,
ahead. Yeah, I
so
asked because like you see me grinding all the time and playing games. I don't see your game activity. at all when I'm like looking at
Yeah,
your profile, or maybe it's just because it's hidden because you have
can't remember if I hit it
toss
or
a coin to
not.
your Witcher
Yeah,
status. It might not
yeah,
show the actual gameplay you've been doing.
yeah. I'm pretty sure. I think on Discord I don't show my game
Oh,
activity.
okay.
I mean, if you're on my Steam friends list or whatever, you probably see what I'm playing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why I hid that to my Discord pro. I don't remember why I did that. I could probably turn it back on, but
Oh, you don't have to. I was just curious because most people don't hide it. You know.
yeah. But yeah, so total hours. So I started playing this game. The calendar date I started playing this game was
10 days ago.
the 25th. I think is when I started. Saturday the 25th of January.
When is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, Saturday the 25th. Yeah, there it is. First played on January 25th. That's when I first played.
11 days ago.
Yeah, so about 11 days ago. Currently have, and there's maybe like, there's cats fighting behind me.
Yeah, I see that.
there's maybe I think there's maybe 2 hours of idle time in what I'm about to tell you. But the total play time is 47.8 hours. and so
Dude.
I have a full-time
Yeah,
job
so
too, by the way.
yeah, you're basically I'm thinking about it, it's like you're essentially doing your full-time job and then you're averaging anywhere from like 2 to 6 hours a night.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty much. So, yeah, the weekends, like the past 2 weekends, most of my Saturday and a chunk of my Sunday as well have been eaten up by this. Oh, because that's when I have the most time to actually like get through the game quicker. So
Yeah.
it's really, but I mean, this weekend I won't have as much time to play. Because I got personal stuff on Saturday going on with the family, and then it's Super Bowl Sunday. So I don't know how active I'm going to be.
True,
At least during the day, I might get some time in, but especially in the
Mhm.
evening, I'll be probably enjoying the game. So I probably won't play as much.
Very cool.
But hey, man, yeah, dude, it's one of those things like. I wasn't sure if I was actually going to get enveloped in the world and like want to like do the side stuff and just not even do the main story. But like, I think it was like Saturday. I was just like, I mean, it's one of those things. I was looking at the clock. I was like, I have a good like 6-7 hours where I could literally just do whatever and like
Yeah.
not rush the game. So that's what I decided to do. So I was enjoying that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, dude, that's I don't know, it's again been my gaming world really this past week. I haven't played anything else, so it's kind of grinding that
It's
out.
pretty cool though.
Just trying to get the main story done because Avowed is in week and a half, so
Yeah,
trying to
it's about 2 weeks, yeah.
2ish weeks. Well, yeah, no, 2 weeks. 'Cause I have no plans to get the pre-order access. My plan is just to wait until release. So, and I think with Witcher, I have plenty to do. So,
Oh, you're gonna have so
about
much
that.
stuff to do, man. I love hearing people get into the Witcher world. I remember when I played the game and I was super into it, and then the show came out,
Yeah,
and I was trying to talk to people who had never played, read, or knew anything about The Witcher. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You need to watch this. And they're just like, I mean, it doesn't even look good. It doesn't make sense. The trailers are stupid. I'm just like, no, you have to watch it. Trust me. This is like one of the ones where I have moments of like no compromises. Are we friends or are we not friends? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, you need to go watch
yeah,
this. You need to go check it out. I feel like The Witcher's one of those. There's plenty of other like genres and IPs I can list off, but to hear you like really enjoying The Witcher is pretty cool.
yeah, man.
I
I
didn't
think
even put you on. You were just like, I'm gonna play it.
well, it's
That's
dude,
so cool.
it's something that's been on the backlog for years. I was like,
Yeah.
I need to get this game because I heard so much about it. And just like I think what the reason I didn't play for so long was because I just wasn't really into fantasy, and I was like, I don't know if like the whole fantasy
Oh
thing is
yeah.
gonna be something I enjoy because I never tried Skyrim for that reason. So like, I just don't
Honestly,
see.
that I'm surprised I never really thought about that because you never watched Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
right? Because there's countless Lord of the Rings games
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well. And you not being into fantasy, I'm just like, you just never experienced Lord of the Rings.
yeah. I mean, well, it's
That's
like a
what it's
whole.
like that is the king of
I
fantasy,
mean,
in
yeah,
my opinion.
it's a whole genre. I just haven't like. I was like, I just wasn't really. I don't know if I'm really into that stuff. And but like, I just it's a genre that I just like kind of like just never even tried. So that was a problem.
Yeah.
I was just like, why did I just not try it? And so that's kind of what I'm dipping the toe into with because like I see all
That's
these
pretty
other
cool though.
like do I see all these fantasy games coming out and like all these fantasy world stuff with like
Hmm.
with like Avowed and KCD is I guess more or less fantasy. I think there's potions in it. So it's kind of like you see like all these games and it's like and you see all these like insane reviews and people just enjoying them. And just yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just like, yeah, I need to. I feel like I I'm missing
Well,
out.
it's just
So it's
yeah,
like I
yeah.
just have to try it.
It also doesn't make too much sense too. It's like it's not your fault. You just haven't had that opportunity to experience it, right? But it's like you're also into science fiction stuff. Like I know you play like Alan Wake is a
Dude,
huge
yeah.
sci-fi. Like
Yeah.
I
Psychological
don't
kind
understand because sci-fi and like fantasy are right next to each other, I think. Like I've
of
always considered them just like there's like tons of crossover
tons of
between those two
similarity and
genres.
parallels.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good to see that you're doing something new though. That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh yeah, it's just it's something I figured I should try. So I don't know. I've been enjoying it so far, and so now it's like now that I've played this and I'm enjoying it, I'm like, all right, all this like fantasy stuff. I feel like it's opened up. I was like, all right, so now there's like a whole kind of genre I need to check out. I have like a ton of games to play because of it. So um,
Oh yeah, you have countless of games to check out. Honestly, I think that's why video games were made in the first place. Were for fantasy and sci-fi.
yeah, I mean, it was a huge
Like tons.
inspiration for like fiction and stuff. It's like
Oh,
it's like
huge.
it's
Yeah.
like the biggest thing. So I don't know. Yeah, I feel like a whole world is starting to open up, and so now I'm like getting excited for like the Avoweds and the
Yeah.
Kingdom Comes and all these kind of different um genres. I'm getting really excited for that. So
Heck yeah, man.
um,
That's awesome.
yeah, man, I think it's and I'm really excited to kind of check out some of the other stuff. Some stuff coming out soon. Some stuff's already coming out. Been hearing a lot about KCD2 and how good it is, and so it's like, oh, should I try the first one? Because I actually have the first one in my Steam library. So I'm just like, oh, maybe I should try that at some point. So it's kind of a yeah, dude. I don't know. I'm excited for the slated games coming out. So it's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a good year. I'm so into it right now. Um honestly, I I'm so embarrassed by saying it. It's like I've been so busy with work and like other personal stuff that I got going on where my way to decompress right now is to play Marvel Rivals, which is kind of funny because most people would be stressed about it. Um I can't stop winning though. Like in the span of a week of an episode, man, we've like I think I was something like silver 3. I'm now maybe a game or 2 away, like 2 wins away from I think it's like actually less than 40 points. So about you average somewhere around 20 points a win depending on your performance. Like sometimes you might get 17, other times you might get 23, like stuff like that. Um to get to diamond. And I'm like I'm trying to get to diamond now and I didn't realize how easy it was in terms of like I'm really good at DPS, I'm really good at tank. I can do pretty much everything. The one
Yeah,
thing that I noticed that I just excel at more than most people, and maybe it's because I understand how tank and DPS play, I know how to heal them. Like I'm prepared for each one of the tanks to do a certain thing. So I'm like I'm pre-healing, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So it's like
I see.
I know Thor's gonna dive in at a certain point, and I use sound cues to know when he's doing that. So I'm like I'm firing healing at him before he even takes damage. So the moment he does take damage, heals go right
Just
back up. So it's
boo.
like, yeah, it's so sick. um, I've been grinding that, dude, and I've also been really like I'm trying to plan some IRL stuff, but in terms of gaming, we're doing another one of these Halo 2 lands in Charlotte. So we're trying to like basically reserve a mansion to have 20 plus people coming into town. We're getting all the hardware, pulling everything together. We're going to stream it. We're going to do similar to what we did last year, just bigger and more people, and probably gonna do some catering and stuff. It's gonna be sick. And I'm the main guy like trying to organize it, try to get it all together. It's not stressing me out per se. It's mostly just like excitement to get that in motion
Yeah,
so that we can get that going. I might reach out to a couple of like professional streamers and content creators to see if they want to cast it for us as well. Because they've done it before in the past and that could be a good option. But we'll
yeah.
see. That won't be happening for like 3 months though.
It sounds like a
Yeah.
spring summer.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's a spring thing, like late spring, almost summer. We're in the early stages, but if you book early for like these types of like mansion rentals, like for a week, and when you do that, it's always cheaper when you do it in advance. It's like the opposite of what a hotel is. I don't know if you knew this, but if you like book hotels 2 weeks before the event, it's usually cheaper.
it's funny how
It's
that
like,
works,
but
right?
if it's so weird. It's the exact opposite with flights.
Yeah, the closer you book, the worse it
Um,
gets.
Concerts though, dude, side note, concerts. If you live in a city where they're having like major festivals, I know where you live, like sometimes they do like beach fests and stuff
Yeah.
like that. If you wait like the day or two before, you could get those StubHub prices where people overbought trying to like resell or like people pull out
Yeah.
last minute. You can get deals. I remember I saw like Pearl Jam for less than $100 and I was on the floor. It's
That's
like those
amazing.
tickets normally were like $600.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. Yeah. Yeah, dude, yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. Honestly, that Halo event sounds like fun, dude. Right now, like a
yeah,
mansion just doing
yeah.
that. So
Hey man, if you want to pull through and check it out,
I was gonna say,
fine,
man,
yeah.
depending on when the dates are, dude, might be free.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool just to hang out, not necessarily play, but just go and
Yeah, come in.
it'd be
Come
dope.
in. Well,
So
like we're trying to do it. Most of the options around me are usually around like the lakes and stuff. And when you get this
yeah,
big of a property, it's similar to where you are. You're in a tourist destination out there, and you know how they do beach rentals with the big lofts, and they have like 7 bedrooms or whatever, and people just come in for like a weekend or a week, and
yeah,
they have activity. It's kind of like that, but for us, it's a lake instead of the
yeah,
ocean. So
yeah,
we'll see. It's in such early phases right now that it's going to take some time to actually get going. I'll probably release more details in terms of just like how to watch, how to contribute and stuff for just like anybody that's interested in Halo 2 OG.
yeah,
Um, yeah. But in the meantime, dude, one of the things I'm really excited about before we like really dive into the articles for this week, um, next week I'm going out of town. I will be getting back in time for us to do our normal scheduled recording. If you want to do that, we could skip a day, go a day after. It's just up to you. But the cool thing is, just to remind you, I'm going to be bringing my tablet and I'm going to try to use Xbox Game Pass streaming through my tablet and then compare it to streaming. Well, not to streaming. It's a tunneling remote desktop into my setup that I have here at home through my through my tablet. And I'm gonna compare the two and see if like is Xbox Game Pass better if I stream directly from the servers, or is it better if I stream to my desktop and then play locally through that? It's not local, but you know what I mean. Like turning my PC into a server in a way. So I'm gonna give comparisons and see what might work and
yeah.
might not.
Hey, dude, I'm ready for it. I'm excited to hear kind of the results because yeah, that's something I've been curious about. It's kind of how that works on the go. Is it
Yeah.
is it stable? Is reliable? So yeah, we good to hear.
Yeah, the other thing is too, like I don't know about you, but I've noticed like the rise of NAS servers and more people using them for like entertainment purposes, like Plex and all this other stuff. For those of you
Yeah,
that have no idea what I'm talking about, because it's kind of like highbrow tech stuff, basically means you can like you turn a centralized server, and a server is just a bunch of hard drives that have its operating system, and you can also have like games stored on there, files of like pictures, videos. You can also use like all the different streaming platforms. I feel like is that like a good way to explain it, Kyle? You might
yeah.
know
I
even
mean, I
more than
think
I
so.
do.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. To be honest, you probably know more than I do. All I know is like, look, I've seen some videos on like NAS servers and stuff like that, and just kind of, I mean, it's you pretty much described it. I think it's like if you want to have something, if you want to have like a giant amount of local storage on your
Yes.
network, that's kind of the way to do it. Is just set up a couple racks, and then you can do. I mean, you
Exactly.
could do so many different things. The options are endless. Really, you can
It,
do
it
VPNs.
quite literally is.
You could do the movie database like you're saying. And just if you want to
Yeah.
have like a ton of movies on a hard drive that you can access at any point. Um, and
Yeah.
it's high quality movies. It's not like
You
an
could
illegal
run
site
like
or anything.
no, and you can also run like an entire localized smart home from your NAS as well.
Yeah,
Like there's just tons and tons of options of what you can do. And I know people are now trying to do that with what I'm talking about, like playing games remotely through a NAS server
yeah,
or a network server.
not a bad idea.
So yeah, it just depends. Like we're getting to the point now where I don't know about you, but I currently feel like internet's kind of stagnated. Like we're not reaching new infrastructure
Yeah,
yet,
there hasn't been
although
like
there
a
is
yeah,
speed.
there hasn't been like a huge
Yeah,
leap in a while. Yeah,
no, the biggest leap we had was Google Fiber and just fiber in
really
general.
was. Yeah, I think fiber was the last like where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, we heard the stuff about like 10 gigabit fiber that like universities are trying to create and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that. But it'd be a while, I think, till that's commercialized. So
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's going to be an option in the future. I know like the military bases they're going to have that. They're probably
I
going to
mean,
have
yeah,
satellite and like
probably
all
have
these
something
other types
crazy,
of
dude.
stuff. Yeah, 100%. But it just like when it gets to regular ordinary people, it's going to take some time.
Yeah,
I think we're about due. in terms of that. I don't think it's as big as a priority because before, like less than 20 years ago, we had the issue of dial-up, and that
Yeah.
took forever.
Yeah, it was
Ever.
unreasonable.
It was insane, man. People don't understand. It's like it would take like one song, one MP3 song that was like 250 kilobytes. Kilobytes took minutes, like
The
10
dial-up's like
minutes.
20
Oh,
kilobytes.
it was pain, bro. I know people that like tried to download movies and they had to wait days.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's like not just the internet, of course, because it's like the internet wasn't that bad, but it was bad. It was also writing into the disk drives and the computers were slow. It's like got out of control. But anyways, I kind of like rambled a little bit there. How about we dive in to the start of our first episode or our first article, I mean. Nice
I
push
agree.
on the mic.
I agree.
That's sick.
I agree, dude. I agree. Yeah, let's talk about. Dude, this is an article I saw. Valve warns millions of Steam users about abandoned games. I read that article. I read the headline. I was like, all right, this should be interesting.
Yeah, what up?
Yeah, it's coming from Jason Evangello. That's how I'm gonna pronounce that, dude. Evangello. Evan Jello.
Yeah, Evangelo? No, Evangelo.
Hey, Evangello is probably correct. So, anyways, Jason over at Forbes wrote this. Got this Forbes article, not Paul Tassi, mind you.
Not Paul Tassi.
Not Paul
Yeah,
Tassi, but
that's actually a good point. We all like Paul Tassi seems to be the main guy.
yeah. He's his subheading. He's a senior contributor at the Forbes. His subheading is I cover the exciting intersection of Linux and handheld gaming. that is an excite. I would say it's an interesting intersection. I don't know how many people find Linux exciting. I mean, someone like me as a developer, I get excited over Linux sometimes, but
Oh yeah.
not everyone, dude. Anyways, the concept of early access games on Steam can be mutually beneficial for both developers and players. It functions as a way for creators to fund the development of their indie game while receiving valuable and ongoing feedback from the games community. Plus, it instills early adopters of that game with a sense of pride and ownership as they watch something they're invested in grow from a rough demo to a polished product. Got my head on a swivel, dude, because my cat's he's all on one right now, so you hear pause.
Yeah, both your cats are just so they're pawing at each other.
It's I don't know why. Yeah, and my cat Noctis, the black one you'll see in a second. This guy, he's just like been the past like 2 nights nonstop, going crazy.
Wild.
He's a wild child. Anyways, but not every early access game on Steam is a success story, and Valve just implemented a welcome warning that proves it continues to put customers first. As spotted by SteamDB, Valve has implemented an important warning on the Steam store pages of early access games that appear to be abandoned, or at the very least, neglected. Specifically, this seems to get triggered by games that haven't received meaningful development updates during the prior 12 months. The warning is displayed on early access games on our early access game banner and reads, "The last update made by developers was over 13 months ago. The information and timeline described by the developers here may no longer be up to date." They actually have a screenshot here of what's going on. One example is about Hardbound. Hardbound. One such example can be seen on Pirate Software's Hardbound. It says games in early access are not complete. So yeah, the standard note about early access is right below the header. So I'll read that first. It says no, games in early access are not complete and may or may not change further. If you are not excited to play this game in its current state, then you should wait to see if the game progresses further in development. It's the standard note they give to every early access game. But right under that, it says the message we just read of hasn't been a last update made to developers was over 13 months ago. And I actually saw a video. They talk about Hardbound, Pirate Software's thing. I actually saw a video of him. He actually did a dev update, a couple weeks ago, and he was actually explaining because someone had mentioned like there really hasn't been an update since like end of 23, like what's going on kind of thing. And so he finally gave an update, and he's like, yeah, it's like I actually have like. He apparently spent a lot of time like building up his personal business, especially with content creation and everything. So it's the whole thing. And apparently, like he turned this game studio into an actual company. I don't know. Apparently, there's a lot of that. So that's why there wasn't much game related updates.
Fair.
I digress. So Hardbound first launched on Steam Early Access back in 2018, but early coverage of the game happened as early as January 2017 when IGN's David, I was going to say Jagnox. It's definitely not Jagnox. But David suggested it could be the next Undertale. Updates happen frequently for several years, the developer often posting monthly videos in addition to new content and bug fixes. However, after December 2023, the update page fell silent for more than a year. I don't count the silly April Fool's Day post. But there have been 2 updates posted in 2025, so why is the warning still displayed? The answer for this is that Steam doesn't recognize a non-game content update, such as a video from the developer's YouTube channel, nor does it recognize patches made to an early access game's beta branch. It only appears to acknowledge content sent to the game's stable branch. Fair enough. I think it's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. It's up to the developers at that point to make sure that they get the mark of stain off their game.
Yeah. That last part may seem unfair, as I can imagine a developer wanting to test something out in a beta branch to iron out rough edges before unleashing it upon significantly more people. Still, the warning serves as a valuable addition to the Steam store. It's a way to encourage caution before financially committing to an early access title. This represents yet another in a long string of features, like disclosing a game's kernel-level anti-cheat and a fair refund policy, showing that Valve genuinely cares about its customers and the overall user experience. Very true,
I
dude.
don't know if that last sentence about them caring about genuinely caring. I think it's more about that refund policy.
Hey man,
make sure you understand what you're getting into when you agree to purchase something or you contribute to a different developer. Because the cool thing about Steam and just Valve in general, they allow a lot of indie developers to get their foot in the door for minimal cost. And if you can have that opportunity, that's really, really good. But for Valve's standpoint, it's they're also kind of at risk because they're the middleman trying to hold the game and also make a profit off of it, of course. But if you get a developer out there just scamming people, that's not good for Valve. Because what happens if the studio shutters and just all of a sudden is gone? Valve has to pay people out. They're gonna be the first person to refund people, and then they're gonna go hunt down the other developer. Maybe they get their money back, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
But I do think this is a really cool idea. To add these features is just overall good business practice. I would love to know. Wouldn't you like to know this? Early access game, you're about to download something you just were really excited about. You saw maybe a viral YouTube short that is over a year old, like Heartbound and Pirate Software. His stuff is all over YouTube.
Yeah.
It's oh yeah, let me go check out his game. And then the first thing that says is yeah, this hasn't been updated in 13 months.
What's going on?
It's going to make you want to look into it. Why is that?
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, I think, it certainly kind of pushes that publicity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I think the refund policy that Valve has, I think is it. I don't know. I consider it a fair one. I think it's kind of you get 2 hours. If you're not, you should know within 2 hours if you don't like a game or want to refund it. I feel like in this case.
I agree with that too.
So yeah, very very consumer friendly in that way. Just being hey man, if it's really that bad, you can get a refund. It also encourages developers to make sure you make a good game, dude. But yeah, I think I think it's certainly a good practice, and I'm in agreement with this. I think Valve looking out for the consumer in that way is good. I think also kind of this one, so it's just an extra. It's a little more effort just to make sure that you know what you're getting. And yeah, if I saw this warning, this note on an indie game, people are talking about it, people were hyping it up, and then I go to the page and I'm like, what's going on here? Where's the updates at?
Exactly.
So yeah, that definitely calls for concern. But
the cool thing about Steam too is they have an entire forum where you can comment and then give feedback on the game itself. There's a little discussion board, review section as well. So that's pretty good. It's kind of transparent,
Yeah, it's true. It's wild too, and not to meme on Power Software and his Heartbound game, but also, you started the game, 2016, 2017? It's almost 10 years, bro. We're cooking.
It's funny you said that because
cooking.
I pulled up his LinkedIn. This is the weird thing. He's the chief executive officer since April 2024, but he has been working there since 2016. But simultaneously, he was working at other companies. So my understanding, I don't know him. I don't watch all his content and his lore of where he came from. But I did know he was working for Blizzard Entertainment up until 2016, and then he kind of moved around a little bit. He worked for Amazon Games for a little while, for maybe like a year, and then worked for a cybersecurity place, and then now he works at Pirate Software. So my guess. Oh, apparently, also worked at Off Brand as a director of strategy.
Interesting.
So yeah, he has a lot of stuff going on, including not limited to being a content creator, right? He
Yeah.
does react and like play other games, but he's also, from my understanding, he's building Hardbound on Steam or like on stream. So
Yeah. Yeah, doing stuff like that. It's I don't know. Yeah, there was an argument I saw about like, well, Undertale was made by one guy in a basement and it took 2 years or whatever. And so it's like people are
yeah,
like
I mean,
comparing it to that. And I'm not a developer. I'm not here to say he's doing it wrong or like something's up or something like that. I'm just saying, man. I hope he gets it out before 10 years. That's all I'm gonna say. You know, if he can get it out before
yeah.
10 years, man. That should
I
be the
mean,
goal.
yeah, I mean, technically, he's been working full time at Pirate Software for 9 years, 1 month.
Hey man,
So 11 more months to go, man.
hey man. He raises ferrets too. So hey,
That's also true. Yeah.
which is kind of crazy. He's like got the
Honestly,
unique
he has so
animals.
much stuff going on that's like, can you really fault him?
Yeah, I mean, well, especially after the content blew up, probably threw a wrench in it.
Oh yeah.
After he started
Oh,
like having to manage all
100%, dude.
that. That
100%.
that's a whole beast in and of its own, man.
Tell me this. How much is Heartbound right now on Steam? Let me see
Oh,
if
I have no idea. Yeah. Yep,
I'll
check.
tell you right now. Let's look it up. Uh
Doesn't even have a price yet.
it is $9.99.
There you go. Nice and consumer friendly, as they say.
Yeah. The recent reviews are mostly negative 129. That probably has to do with some of the controversy that he had.
Yeah. It's
But
not the fault of the game, but
yeah, I don't even know anything about what happened with World of Warcraft raid. It just
yeah.
seems like gamers being mad at each other.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like at first glance. Like, hey, I'm not sitting
Yeah.
here trying to downplay it because there's a lot of passionate people, passionate gamers out there about
Oh yeah.
kind of giving their input, and so I'm not
Oh
here to
yeah,
discredit any
100%.
of that. But from the outside, I will agree with you. It's kind of like, it's just like a raid beef. Like, what's going on?
Well, yeah, it is a raid beef. Like, let me build a bridge. I've gotten incredibly mad at people for wasting
Yeah,
my time too.
yeah,
So like
it's
raids
fair.
take hours and it takes a really long time to plan. I've never personally done one, but I can relate to it because it's like not very many people play OG Halo 2.
Yeah,
I have to pull out the giant TV. I have to plug everything up. I have to hope it works. We have to get 8 people. We all have to log into a freaking old network system. It fails all the time. It
yeah.
isn't like a 35, it's a 30 to 45 minute wait just to get the amount of people you need.
Yeah,
Plus, when you do play, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending if the matches are close. The thing that kills me is when the thing that tilts me to a new level, and I can understand why people would be upset, is if we're gaming and somebody like they get smoked the first game and then they quit. They're like the last person to join. They pick teams, they get all upset and then quit. And then the other 7 people are like, we've been waiting for hours just to get a lobby
bruh.
going. What do we do now?
Man, yeah, that can be
Yeah.
frustrating for sure. I will say,
Yeah.
before we get off this article, I will say, just another thing to that drama. I I could be wrong, but I feel like I read somewhere that it was like the raid, the particular like server they were playing on was like it was a I don't know if it's hardcore. I don't know what the word is. It's like hardcore, like single life or something like that. But it was one of those things where if you die, you lose your account. I think I could be wrong, but if it's like that level, then I can understand. Then I can see the frustration. I can see why it's messed up that he's completely messed up and got people killed. It's like, dude,
I
you lose your character,
understand.
man. That's yeah. That's
Yeah.
it's like that was your life for months, probably. You know,
Well, yeah, if
just like
that happens to them, they're not just taking it out on Pirate Software, are they? They're taking it out on every person that did that to them at one point. WoW has been around for like 30 freaking years, it feels like. So
yeah,
that's a lot of people. So everybody can relate to it. Everybody's upset.
yeah.
I can totally understand.
It's kind of wild. I mean,
Dang,
I guess
you
this
die and that's too much.
I feel like it was like a
Everything's gone.
hardcore server rate thing. That's probably why it was so blown up. But it's crazy to think
It's
though that
crazy.
WoW was what 2005 it came out, 20 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, I
Bro.
remember people in my high school freshman year just never shutting up about it when we
Like
were at lunch.
paying $15 a month for this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there were
Like,
dude,
it's crazy.
$50 a month in 2005.
It's
That was a lot.
crazy. The fact that we're getting that many subscriptions too, like, bro, they're
Yeah.
rolling in it. That's why Blizzard
Nah,
is who they are today, dude. It's crazy.
but you're not wrong.
That
You're
$15 a
not
month,
wrong at
dude,
all.
back then. Oh, baby.
Sheesh.
See now subscriptions are a mainstay, but back then, I
They
mean,
were
come
not
on now,
normal.
not
No.
normal at all.
But I also think they still had a segment. I know EVE Online does this now, where if you play enough of the game and you earn enough in-game currency, you can pay for your subscription every month.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
great.
so
Like, I
that's
promote
amazing.
systems like that. Yeah. Well, it's same with like battle passes too. Like one thing I liked
Mhm.
about Fortnite, especially early on, I'm sure it's probably still the same. But like if you bought into a battle pass, you made enough V Bucks throughout the progression that you could just buy it
Yeah,
for free,
that's true. Yeah,
essentially the next time. So
that's true.
yeah, man, it's yeah, it's a good way to do it. But yeah, it's wild, dude. I feel like I mean, I guess WoW still is subscription based. It's kind of crazy to think about. It was like that and RuneScape were like the two like paid for
Oh yeah,
things
the
back
big
then.
ones.
I remember like
Yeah.
I think when I like first started getting to like adulthood and I kind of had my own money, I like hopped back on RuneScape and I was like, oh, I can actually get a membership for a couple months. So like I tried, like bought it, and then after a couple months, I was like, yeah, I don't play this enough, so I just stopped paying for it and just logged off. But yeah,
Oh, hell yeah.
just how it was, man.
So sick.
Old franchises we want coming back. Like that's all I'm saying. There's a couple out there.
Oh yeah. All right. So this isn't really an old franchise. Well, I mean, it's an old IP, right? But it's
Sure is.
more news coming from Battlefield, and I think it's good because it's like Battlefield had a bit of a kickback in terms of fandom, I guess. The problem that I always saw was like Battlefield 2042 came out when COD launched. Remember Warzone? Like the update to Warzone was just trash.
Terrible.
That came out, everybody hated it. Halo launched, and that was an implosion. Not good.
Terrible.
And then I was like, dude, Battlefield, like this could be the game. It launched, internet capabilities not very good, game kind of crashed, buggy, and then everybody left. Like all three of those games. Battlefield 2042, they fixed it up in like I think it was like 2 or 3 months. There were still problems, but it was at least playable. It was
Yeah.
enough to bring the fans of Battlefield back. Maybe not just average, ordinary people. I think that's a problem with like they need to launch good games at the
Yeah.
start because Battlefield's been around for so long, and if you get like a new generation of gamers that are like, okay, well, let me jump in, let's see what all the hype's about. I heard you can play like 256 people on a map, and a lot of people now more than ever are using PCs. So it's like, dude, let's get in on this. They load it up, it crashes, it's crap. And then what was it? What was the Minecraft style Battlefield that came out? Dude, BattleBit? I think it's BattleBit.
BattleBit. Yeah, that might have been it. Yeah. BattleBit. I know.
Yeah, BattleBit Remastered. That
Yeah,
came out and people just dipped out
dude.
completely on Battlefield for a little bit.
True. You also talk about Roblox. Was it Phantom Forces or whatever it
Yes,
was,
dude.
dude? It was literally Battlefield and
Yes.
Roblox. It was actually good.
Yeah. You totally have options is what I'm saying. Um but anyhow, let's jump into this week's article coming from IGN, and Wesley Yin Poole is the writer, the editor for this one. So, the first official look at new Battlefield gameplay as EA reveals Battlefield Labs. And then my man put a subtitle, and it is first class. So, EA has delivered the first official look at the new Battlefield game as part of an announcement around player testing and its development setup. The brief glimpse at pre-alpha Battlefield gameplay comes as part of a video revealing what EA calls Battlefield Labs and an accompanying calls to arms for playtesters. There is a diehard Battlefield fan base that will absolutely become a playtester. So one
Blink 'em
would
all.
argue if you buy a Battlefield game, you are a playtester day one. But I mean, that's never,
See?
yeah, I mean, that's what it was with Halo. So, all right, let's get into it. Let's see if they learned from their mistakes. What's going on at EA Games? So, meanwhile, EA revealed Battlefield Studios, the umbrella branding for the four studios that is working on the new Battlefield. These are the series' main Stockholm, Sweden based developer DICE. DICE is goaded, by the way. Dead Space remake and Star Wars Squadrons developer Motive. Star Wars Squadron was sick. I actually forgot about that game for a second. US studio Ripple Effect, formerly known as DICE LA. and UK studio Criterion. I thought Criterion went under, to be honest. Whose work on Need for Speed has now come to an end. Maybe that's why I thought. That makes sense.
They
Need
were
for
done
Speed,
for.
online game, super sick. And Criterion, I always saw their logo. That might be why I'm thinking about it. So Dyson Sweden is building the multiplayer for the new Battlefield. Motive is working on single player missions and multiplayer maps. Ripple Effect is working on bringing in new players to the Battlefield experience or Battlefield franchise. And Criterion is working on the single player campaign. Interesting. So you got single player missions and multiplayer maps are done by Motive, and then the single player campaigns done by Criterion.
This will go
I
really
think that,
well, or really
yeah,
not
I don't
well.
like. Yeah, you gotta
I mean,
know
too
what you're doing.
too many cooks in the kitchen. We talked about it. I think we kind of got that a little bit with Star Wars Outlaws and Ubisoft. Like,
Yeah,
there's a
I was
lot of
just about to
studios working
say, I
on it.
was like, this is what Ubisoft did, and it's what they've been doing forever.
Yeah,
And as we've come, our theme on the show is it implodes.
it's I don't know. It's produced mid, dude. It's mid
It's
Ubisoft. That's what
produced
it's turning
mid.
into, dude. It's just like
So
average
true.
games at best, dude. That's all we get.
Oh
Nothing
man.
unique and tangible, and like, yes, this is
It's
it.
true. It's so true. All right, too many cooks in the kitchen. Get cooked. All right, let's continue on. So, as already announced, the new Battlefield sees the return of traditional single-player linear campaign after 2021's Battlefield 2042 went multiplayer only. I remember people are really upset. Battlefield campaigns are pretty sick.
Yeah.
EA said its collective Battlefield Studios teams are now entering a critical phase of the development cycle and want player feedback on what to prioritize, improve, and refine before release. To that end, Battlefield Labs will see EA test almost everything, but not everything Player C will be complete. Participants will have to agree to a non disclosure agreement, NDA, of course, before getting in. And this is a quote directly from EA. So, even in pre alpha, we are proud of where the game is at. We tirelessly playtest, but your feedback will supercharge our development as we strive to hit that perfect note between form, function, and feel. This is unprecedented moment for Battlefield. We will start by testing the pillars of play, like core combat and destruction, then transition to balance and feedback for our weapons, vehicles, and gadgets, ultimately leading to where all these pieces come together in our maps, modes, and squad play. And yes, we will be testing conquest and breakthrough, the heart and soul of our all out warfare experience. But Battlefield Labs will also be a place to explore new ideas and fine tune and improve Battlefield pillars like our class system. Their class system is assault, engineer, support, and recon to create deeper, more strategy. So sick. Initial invites will be limited to a few thousand participants with servers located in Europe and North America. Over time, EA will invite tens of thousands more and support further territories. It's worth remembering that while EA is devoting 4 entire studios to Battlefield, last year it shut down Ridgeline Games, a Seattle based developer that was working on a new, supposedly standalone single player Battlefield game with more of a story focus, and laid off all its staff. It's all about them corporate readings, brother.
Unfortunate, dude. I see
Yeah.
the single player lover in me, man.
I
This
want
EA
more
game
single
for
player games in general, dude. It's just
I'm a single player dog, man. Give me a good give me a good story, bro. And a good like see, I will say, like, I'd be interested to see kind of a good kind of military single player game. It's been a while since I played like a military game single player. So
COD. Did you play the most recent COD Black Ops?
no, I don't think I did. I think the most recent COD I played was Cold War, I think campaign. So,
Oh yeah, the most recent Black Ops isn't too bad. I mean, it's a Call of Duty game. There's kind of a lot going on. I think, unironically, one of the best military single player games I played was this Battlefield 3. That was on Game Pass
I heard it was good.
years ago. It might still be. It was super easy. It was like a very small download. I was like, yeah, screw it. Let's play Battlefield. Played that and I was like, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? Like I hadn't played the
Yeah.
campaign before and I was like, I get why the cult following. Yeah, 100%. Battlefield 3 is
Yeah.
pretty sick.
Dude, I remember graphically at that time too. I was seeing
Dude,
trailers of like 3, and I was like,
dude.
dude, this is a real life, man. Like, it's just crazy what you
Yeah.
like. If games back
Yeah.
then, it's like we would be like, dude, this is like it's like almost like real, dude. Like that's
Oh
how it
yeah.
was. You look back on it now, it's
There
probably not as like it doesn't hit as hard, but I don't know, man.
see there
It's good.
there are things that we could be adding to because it seems to me in terms of first person shooters with the campaign story driven, it's either like borderline sci-fi futuristic, like advanced modern warfare kind of stuff, or it's World War II or the Cold War.
Yeah,
And I want to see more of like what happened in Vietnam, what happened in Africa. We haven't like there's so many civil wars and conflicts over the last 100 years that have been happening in Africa, mostly because of the fall of like the British Empire and any European conquest empire falling apart. It's like you could be taking so much from history and putting that in a game and like not just educating people, but just like showing them a new experience as a gamer, but also showing like giving some type of like cultural awareness to the countries that are like were affected and why they're shaped the way they are. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That
It's a
could be
good point.
something
Yeah,
cool to yeah.
it's a good
Maybe
point.
there's
Yeah,
not an audience for that. They could be like crowd surfing or not crowd surfing. What's it called? Like they call them audience like pooling. You know what I'm talking
audience
about?
polling. Yeah, that's one. I was gonna say crowdsourcing, but I don't think that's it.
It's not crowdsourcing. It's like you're trying to figure out like what the customer would want. You
Yeah,
know, like you like
I
you
mean, I know,
survey them.
I know what you're
There's a
talking
term
about. I just
for
don't know
it.
the
There's a
term,
term
dude.
for
I
it.
know what you're talking
You
about.
need to go watch Mad Men. They have it in there.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a good point though. Like, because there's so many different war narratives out there. If you want to go
Oh yeah.
historical, there's options. For sure. It's like, I mean, yeah, more. It's one of those things. It's like for me, it's like I would probably lean towards historical if I'm gonna go with like a shooter, just because I think it's more interesting to me. I feel like the modern thing or like the futuristic kind of war thing. I don't know, man.
Oh
I
yeah.
just think for me, it's just hard to like. I'll admit it's hard for me to be like super into like a war game because it's like I feel like we've gotten so much of that over the past like 2 decades. So it's like
Right.
I don't know, but again, it's like fantasy, dude. I think I like fantasy, and here we are. So if it's good enough, if the story's good enough, I'll play it. You know?
Yeah. If the story's good and the gameplay feels right, you're gonna have a
Yeah,
good time.
yeah.
That's ultimately what it comes down
There's
to.
a lot that has to align, which makes me kind of nervous about the 4 studios working on one game. But
Yeah.
hey,
Did you see the trailer? I think I
yeah,
sent you a
yeah. I
video of
watched
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's not too much to it. You don't really know. It's not really even a trailer. It's like a teaser.
yeah. You're really
So
just talking to studios, and they're kind of saying,
yeah.
"Yeah, dude, we're all ready. We just need people to test." Obviously, they can't show much of anything, especially if they're doing NDAs. You can't
No.
really show anything. But
No, it's true because yeah, they could be working on something special. There will be leaks. I know that. Of course, there's always
yeah, I'm
leaks. I
sure.
don't want to find the leaks. I like the idea of an NDA to try to like
Yeah,
I
you know.
like a new experience. You know, when you open up a game for the first time, you don't know anything
Yeah,
about
dude.
it.
I don't like leaks either, dude. Whenever spoilers like drop, I
Yeah,
avoid them like the plague, dude. Just saying.
I
Especially if it's a
like
game I
doing
want
that.
to play.
Yes, dude, for sure. I do the same thing with like movies. There's certain movies where I'm like, people will be like, "Hey, you want to go see this movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, whatever." And just like, you don't even know what it is. They're like, I want to be surprised. And they're like, "Oh, you should watch the trailer." I'm like, I don't want to watch the trailer.
Yeah,
Like the
I
most
feel like that
recent
with
one
games.
that,
I'm like
yeah,
it's hard for me sometimes to watch reviews because I'm like, oh, dude, I just want to experience it.
yeah, it's like I don't want to be, I don't want my experience to be tainted. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly. Yeah, no, I feel
try to
that.
go in with an open mind. Like the more I know, the more I realize like my biases come into play. Where I'm just like, this is just gonna
Or I
be
can judge it, the
trash.
more I'm like, I'm not gonna like, yeah. No, dude, I
Yeah,
feel that
I mean, we're
100%.
kind of judging right now. We're like kind of being a little bit hypocritical over these 5 different studios and stuff,
I'm saying,
different
bro.
locations. That I think it's logistics for me that has me concerned. You know,
Yeah, I mean, when you have
um,
so many people, look. I mean, I'm all for like kind of focusing solely on single player, like a studio just focusing solely on that. I like the idea on that. It's like you just have to get good writing in there. You gotta have
you
a nice flowing
absolutely do,
narrative.
man.
It's like as long as you get that, it'll be good. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I feel like writing. I mean, we could be proved wrong. I just feel like writing any sort of war, especially like a future war kind of game. I feel
Oh
like
yeah,
that writing is probably difficult to pull from and try and avoid inspiration and write something original. I don't know if you have historical context to something. I feel like it could probably be easier to write because you have something to base it off of. If you're just predicting what could be in the future and trying not to do something similar to what's already been done, dude.
Yeah.
I don't envy
Y-
writers. Let's put it that way.
No, 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 no. You also have to like it's a business where you have to make money.
Yeah.
You can't mess up. It's kind of sad too because one of the coolest experiences I ever had in a video game, and it was the coolest because of how I felt about it. Like it was a game that made there was two times where I felt it, and they're both shooters, of course. The first one was Call of Duty 3, where you stormed the beaches in Normandy, and I played that on the
Yeah.
Xbox 360. That will stay with me forever. That
Yeah.
was insane. That was also
Impact.
like I had watched like Saving Private Ryan and
Yeah.
then like Storm of the Beach. I'm like, what the hell? It was like insane. The other one, and you'll probably remember this, um, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, where you're the airport scene where you're trying to
It's
be
the
in
I
with
feel
the
like it's the
terrorists.
go-to scene people talk about when it's like something that
Yeah.
was just out of nowhere and just like that's when
Oh
games
yeah.
were like kind of like, oh, like you could really like you could do
That
some
that was when
crazy stuff
games
in
were
games
rated
now.
M.
Yeah.
That's when games were rated M, and it wasn't about the money. It was about sending a message. And that's like that was so freaking thought provoking because the messed up part about it, and I'll like tie this into something slightly different in terms of like pop culture, um, only because we were recently talking about it in a group chat. So just that whole thing, no matter what you did, the ending was the same, whether or not you shot innocent civilians or not.
Dude, yeah.
Like it ended the same.
Yeah.
And when people realize that, they're like, I learned something about myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna go with the flow. And I think more people need to experience that type of thing. Like every single one of these games that we play, it's always Western civilization succeeds or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, how about if we lose? Like I
What
want to see a game that's like hopeless. Like that's just
that
not just
would
because it's like it's not
be
sad, but
good.
it's like I'm not saying I want something sad. What I'm saying is like I want a twist.
Yeah.
You know?
I want something different from the norm.
Yeah.
Guy, it's so funny. I was like getting on the RPG kick and like really diving into the world of RPGs and like what makes them great, what makes them bad. Like more recently, there's a ton of like retrospectives and stuff on Fallout 4. And I think one of the things that was I didn't really notice until years afterwards was like you could like every dialogue choice pretty much it's like there's four options but three like but really it's just like four different ways that eventually lead to like yes if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you could say it one way, you say sarcastic yes, it's kind of the same thing. You can think you're saying no but ultimately you still the person's ultimately like, oh, you don't really mean that, sure you're gonna do it anyway kind of
Yeah.
thing. So it's like a lot of the dialogue in that game was kind of like, it all pointed to the same answer really, which I thought was kind of funny. But it also just proves that like, your actions really don't like what you say really doesn't matter. It's kind of just like, it's
No.
there was clearly one kind of path I wanted you to take. And so it like I feel like in an RPG context that is ultimately, a detrimental, I think, to the overall experience of what,
Yeah,
of
it
a
is.
role playing. It's not role playing, you're just playing a linear game. Like so.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that might be more of what I'm talking about. I
Yeah.
mean, there's other ones too because it's like uh
I mean I
Star
think
Wars Knights of the Old Republic
yeah.
had something similar to that.
Yeah. Look, I think to your point, there's there could be something very powerful, something very effective about a central theme that stays the same no matter what path you take, and
Yes.
realizing and there's less there you can weave a narrative in a way so that even if you do certain things, you get a similar outcome, but that similar outcome is like actually very thought provoking. It's like, okay, well, like what I did really didn't matter, or like
Yeah.
why did this thing not matter that I did that I thought was significant kind of thing.
It's like
There's
playing
interesting
with
ways
the
you can do it.
topic of destiny, you
Yeah,
know? It's like no matter what happens, it's fate. And like
yeah,
that's your destiny. That's what's gonna happen
definitely.
regardless.
There's
You
an
can't
effective
fight it.
way to do that. So I'm not
Oh yeah.
discrediting that for sure, but um,
100%.
it
Yeah.
comes back to story writing and narratives. If you know what you're doing, then
Very, very cool. Yeah.
write something. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, what do we
Gosh,
got?
there's a lot of this article left.
Well, here's the thing. I already read it, and it's mostly just a couple of the guys and the execs yapping about what they plan on doing and like why Battlefield 4
128.
was really good. Yeah, like more and more people playing the game. But really what this is about overall, aside being like a studio piece because they're trying to build more faith after what happened in Battlefield 2042. It's saying, hey, if you guys are interested in the next Battlefields and you're like true Battlefield fans, please participate in the playtest. Please sign up. Please give us feedback. And I'm sure they're gonna like weave out a lot of stuff of what they want to do because ultimately
Yeah.
they have a vision. They're gonna take what they want to take. So
Yeah.
hopefully that works. I think it's gonna just build. Maybe it's a marketing scheme. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to actually build a good game. Hopefully they are. But maybe it's just like trying to build the bridge back to the core fan base and saying,
Yeah.
"Hey guys, come here,
That's
come
what I
to
hope.
us."
That's what I hope for
Yeah.
Battlefield. Look,
Mhm.
I think, especially FPSs and that genre is better when we have good competition. Battlefield
Yes.
was a very good competition to COD, and we just haven't
Yeah.
had that. And so, like, Call of Duty is kind of becoming what it's becoming. I feel like people overall are getting probably frustrated with COD and just like, I don't like. It's just it doesn't seem new or innovative because similar to like any other thing, if there's competition, it pushes you to try new ideas or maybe make twists and do different things. So I feel like there's no real like in the FPS genre right now. There's no real kind of if Battlefield was back, could have some variety
Yeah.
again.
I think well the thing that I've always noticed is there is, but I think the problem is FPS now is so geared towards either you're the highest level professional gamer on a mouse and keyboard or you're an arcade shooter with a controller. There's no in between really. And the games that have been trying to be in between, they don't succeed as well. And it's very like frustrating and annoying from a consumer standpoint.
Yeah,
Because to me, Call of Duty is like one of the most boring competitive shooters I've ever seen. And
God,
it has to do with just it's like the time to kill is so quick. There's so much stuff going on the screen. It's very difficult viewing experience. The spawns are kind of busted. It doesn't feel fun just in general. And it's
mm.
repetitive. Like everybody has the same meta, same gun, same everything. It's like, dude, this is boring.
they ain't no strategy. There's no reason to have coaches because like unless you're coaching outside of the game, you can't coach during the match.
No,
Ain't
you
no way,
can't.
or it's too quick.
No,
You
I mean
can't
the
do
game basically spells everything out for you. You don't have to think. They GA like everything in the game.
it.
It's like ugh, gross, man. It's just boring. It's just boring. But you don't have like high intensity moments like you do in like Counter Strike. And I also don't think Battlefield is a direct competitor to Call of Duty because it's more realistic. It's like a
Sure,
military
yeah, that's a
simulator.
good point. It's not a competitive shooter, right? It's
Yeah,
it's it's an immersive shooter, I would call it.
experience.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like you're trying to get lost.
yeah. The brilliance of Battlefield, it's like you can really be in a lobby with over 100 people.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
can you imagine that? Like,
Insane.
actually imagine that instead of like, oh yeah, it's just me and my buddies. There's like 10 of us in this lobby. We're fighting and stuff. It's oh yeah, cool. It's like, bro, I got like 128 people. We're all sweating. Everybody has their own roles. Like squad leaders, like giving out commands. It's like, dude, that's so
Headsets
cool.
cranked, sitting like this,
Yeah,
dude. Going
yeah. I'm
crazy.
just.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
But
the
yeah,
funny.
this is I'm glad we covered this article just because it's good to see that there's something going on.
Yeah,
It's very
it's
cool
good to hear from.
coming out of Battlefield.
Yeah, it's good to hear Battlefield.
Yeah, whether or not it's gonna be good, who knows?
Yeah,
Like seriously, hopefully
for
they've learned from their
their
mistakes. You can't
sake.
be messing around during the time where everybody's getting laid off.
Yeah, dude, for
Build a
their
good
sake.
game,
I
please.
do. I hope it's good. It does suck that single player Battlefield got canned. Everyone got laid off. But hopefully,
Yeah,
this single player is good for this one. I don't know, man.
sure.
So, I mean, yeah, I want Battlefield to be back because I think it'd be fun to have Battlefield back again. But
Yeah,
we'll see, dude. We'll see, man. I don't know. But Mike, I don't know if you're aware. There was a game that released this week, this very week, that we've been talking about for a while on the main podcast. But I feel like it's worth mentioning. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which unfortunately Mike's camera is blocking the name, so you can't really see it. But and it's just because no, you're good. You can't. It's the
just
scene,
joking.
dude. It's OBS, dude. But yeah, dude, we've been talking about this game for a while. I think I mentioned it a little bit in the main show, but I think it was worth it just kind of going over and seeing because to a pleasant surprise. I mean, I don't know, maybe not necessarily a pleasant surprise, but or maybe not necessarily a surprise, but I think the reviews have been pretty good. We've been averaging a solid 9 out of 10 to 10 out of 10 for most outlets, and
Yeah,
the Metacritic is currently a generally favorable 88 for PC. And across all the platforms, you have 54 reviews from PC, 48 from PS5, 10 from Xbox Series X. And it's all across the board 88. There's no like difference between them all. It's all the same. And so it's good to see consistency in that front. But it's a game that was, I think, a long time coming from Warhorse, the studio that made it, and it's been receiving amazing reviews. The overall consensus I've been seeing from most reviews is that it's essentially everything the first game wanted to be, kind of thing. It's very much like, you know, everyone's hopping in. People that love the first game are absolutely gonna love this game. And also what I pieced together too, which is always something when I see success, like a successful sequel of some sort, the first question I always have, especially if I'm looking to play that game, is, do I have to play the first game? Is it a requirement for me to play the first game?
It's a good question.
I always wondered that. And from my research, it is not a requirement to play the first game, because from my understanding, I have not played the game, but from my understanding, they actually sum up essentially the first game before you actually dive into the second one. So it's essentially summed up pretty quickly. So yeah, apparently you don't have to play the first game. That being said, the first game did end on a cliffhanger from my research. I didn't obviously like see any of the plot, but apparently it ended on a cliffhanger. First game came out in 2018. We're talking, you know, 6-7 years ago at this point. we're getting the sequel. But from what I've seen, and I will say graphically, the game looks stellar. You may not be able to see from the video that plays on, you know, Metacritic on the page here on the video. But dude, yeah, I mean, from what I'm seeing from gameplay wise, graphically, it just looks really, really good. I think and from what I've heard, everything, like I said before, everything about it stepped up. I think the options, the dialogue options, the way they kind of present the dialogue, the way characters behave, and just the world itself just looks absolutely gorgeous. So it's good to see all that. And from what I've heard, it's like there's a lot of people, especially a lot of I was particular about finding people that were RPG focused, and in the reviews, and people that really love RPGs. And pretty much every RPG enthusiast I've seen is like, you should definitely check out this game at least, because it's like one of those things where they're just like, this is a very well done RPG. It's the only concern I kind of have is that from what I'm seeing, there's a lot of I won't say there's a lot of this game is great, but however, there's a huge caveat. I feel like pretty much every reviewer mentions at some point that I've watched or read, they said it is a very good game. However, there can be some like tedium in it in some of the systems, because it is kind of as realistic as a medieval RPG can get in terms of like, you have to it's like at the start of the game, you completely suck at combat because you haven't leveled up the skill. And so the combat may not be as fun. So you have to practice sword combat specifically, or if you want to like learn how to use a crossbow, you have to be particular about practicing with a crossbow. There's a lot of stuff like that where it can get kind of tedious. You have to make sure that, and part of the immersion in this game, people have been saying the game is very immersive. From what I've seen too, it's like, you have to be very particular about making sure you maintain cleanliness, and you actually live amongst, like, you actually stay amongst the living in terms of, you know, making sure like, if you murder somebody, you have blood all over you, might want to wash that off. Or if like you're dirty, I want to wash up before you go to the market and try and buy something, because the shopkeep and all those people are going to be judgmental and may even affect some of the pricing that they give you on some items because you look the way you do. So it's very particular in that way. But just kind of going through some of these, a lot of hundreds, 10 out of 10s. From what I'm seeing, there's, I think, so I've seen a couple, no negative reviews. What I've seen,
that's good.
No, it's all either mixed or positive, mostly positive. But all the mixed reviews I'm seeing, you're kind of just scrolling past all the 90s and the 100s and seeing the 80s. There's a lot of green. You start getting to the yellow, right? The 70s, the 60s, 50s. There's a lot of that. But pretty much so I see like, there's in this case, there's like 4 I see. And pretty much just reading through all those, it pretty much was the sentiment of, look, it's a pretty good game. However, it could be, most of the reviews are like Eurogamer, it's a hard and maddening slug at times. And then GameSub talks about, you know, it's a game that unabashedly demands you meet to its level, which I find somewhat admirable. I just constantly found it to be a miserable slog to engage with. So like, it's kind of like a common theme of just like, yeah, there's a lot of tedious parts in this game. So, and it's just the overall sentiment. So I don't know. this is a game that I've told you, Mike. I think I eventually want to check out. Just after seeing all these reviews, seeing all these hundreds, these tens, these 90s, I
Yeah,
think it
you
just
want to
goes
check
without
it out.
saying. I'm just like, this is an RPG I'm gonna have to put on the list, dude. I'll have to check it out at some point.
I think it's worth it because I've seen a whole bunch of like Kingdom Come Deliverance, Kingdom Come games on YouTube and TikTok, like people playing these games, like role playing, and then I forgot what it's called. It might be GameSprout, I think, YouTube channel, where they grab like all these different clips throughout all of gaming where people have just made stuff. And it's like gamers are awesome. And then I've always seen Kingdom Come Deliverance. Um, yeah, like
Yeah,
clips and stuff. It's so funny. But hey, if you're cool with this, I'll share a couple of things from Tech Radar on the game.
go
Did
for it.
Tech Radar give a rating by chance?
I not
Might
sure. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna...
might be worth checking out. Anyways, there is a section where he basically gives. Let me give a shout out first. Deshiel, possibly Wood over here at Tech Radar. And there's this one section in the article they put together. The name of the article, it's awesome, is I had my shoes stolen by virtual drunks in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and it might already be my game of the year. It's like that's the level of immersion we're talking about here. So if I can go to this one section that I felt like was worth reading to people. So a couple of things. Play it if that's the name of the category. Play it if you love immersive RPGs. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 succeeds at fully immersing you in a medieval world and beautiful environments and an impressive set of systems that respond realistically to your actions. And if you're wondering what medieval world, it's actually in Czechia. Czechia? Czechia. Czechia, I think.
Cha-cha.
Um, yeah, sorry, I can't really pronounce that word. But anyways, the other thing you said, play it yeah, play the game if you want to see where the story of the first game goes. Without spoiling too much, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 provides a satisfying conclusion to the plot of the first game. It even includes plenty of recaps for those who haven't experienced it before. And then play it if you want to if you want to master a unique combat system. Your arsenal is incredibly varied in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 with plenty of authentic medieval weapons to try out. Combat isn't always easy, but is very rewarding if you put in the time to learn how it works. Here is the other two categories that I felt were pretty cool to mention. Yeah, you got it on the screen. Don't play. Yeah, don't play it if you lack the patience. So Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is not a game that can be rushed. If you're looking for an RPG that you can blaze through, you're better off sticking to something like Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. So the accessibility is the other one too. Sadly, there is no dedicated accessibility menu, which kind of stinks for me. Uh, Hopefully they got colorblind settings. I gotta
I was about
assume
to
you
say,
can.
yeah. Hope so.
Yeah, that's the easiest thing to put in game. If not, I'll just use a monitor settings.
Okay. All right.
On a console, you can edit the control scheme somewhat, inverting the vertical and horizontal axis and altering look sensitivity. Subtitles are present throughout the game by default and have a range of display options, including text size and high contrast color settings. So
I mean, it's cool.
yeah,
I mean, that's for dialogue. Yeah,
yeah,
dude.
I figure like that was something kind of worth mentioning. Like you said, you basically said a whole long way to say like you do need patience for the game. You
Yeah.
need to like it's no joke. You gotta be ready to grind it out.
Yeah. Which I feel
Yeah,
like if I knowing that now beforehand, I might enjoy the game. Then I wouldn't. I won't go with the expectation like I'm just gonna run through it.
yeah.
Thing.
If you went with the expectation that you're just gonna roll through it, you're gonna get cooked.
Yeah.
You're just not gonna have a good time. You got to go in with the mentality of like, okay, this is gonna be a good game. I'm just gonna play it out. I remember there was a game not too long ago on my list. I was like, oh, I got like a good week off. Like I have some time to do something. I was trying to rush it through, but it wasn't a game that you could rush through. Ended up not liking the game as much as I probably should have,
Yeah.
which is kind of lame. It might have been Firewatch. Might have been.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude. Tech Radar's verdict though, 5 stars. 100.
Ain't bad. Ain't
Uh,
bad.
Yeah, dude, it's
Very cool.
yeah, I mean the first sentence, dude. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, to put it simply, is a masterpiece and easily one of the best role playing games of the last decade. Which is like I've been hearing stuff like that from a lot of reviewers. It's like, whoa. Um, I think I even heard someone argue greatest RPG of all time in their eyes, which I'm like, okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know, a lot of hype around this game. Um, and I know, yeah, another thing that's worth mentioning too. I heard from a lot of reviewers, like kind of just watching their videos, and a lot of them said they actually got their review codes a whole month early before the game came out. That's how like sure Warhorse was about this game and how confident they were about it, which is crazy. Because normally it's like you get a review code, it's like a week or two out.
Yeah,
but
it's
like,
true. Yeah.
like
They
uh,
usually are like working to the wire to get it done.
yeah. But this one they're like a whole month before the game came out. Like y'all have fun.
That shows confidence. Yeah.
I
And
mean,
also like, hey,
I
give
mean,
us feedback so we can correct stuff.
yeah.
You know?
But also like it's a long game, so you may need that time. Oh man. But yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, overall, man, sounds like a pretty solid RPG. Something I'm definitely gonna check out at some point. To get immersed in a medieval world, really
Heck yeah,
soak
dude.
in the maybe craft some potions, maybe be a hunter. I don't know. Apparently, you could pick like you could essentially like hone in on specific skills because you really, I don't know if you'd at least from what I've heard, you may not necessarily have time to like do a jack of all trades kind of thing. So it's like you probably just focus on one thing, especially for like making money and whatnot.
Well, if it's realistic, it probably has to do with the choice of weapon you have. Because there's only so many ways you can use a weapon.
Yeah.
Like you have to use it based on its design. The way you use like a medieval hammer is going to be way different than when you use like a medieval hatchet or what's another like a broadsword and stuff like that, bow and arrow. So if you have a jack of all trades, it's like, bro, that's insane. Like
Yeah.
that'd be crazy. You're a heck of a warrior.
Yeah. When gamers gave the first sentence, they said, "Wow, just wow." That was the feeling when I hit the credits. When I let the credits roll after just 150 hours. I was like, "Jeez, man, people loving it." Yeah, getting triumphant sequel. Um, yeah, it says, but even if you feel like a touch frustrated by the busy work, I would argue players to at least finish the first map of the game. If you get to this point and still find yourself keen to play, I'm happy to say that the game truly blossoms in the second half. Interesting kind of perspective. The best quest, narratives, moments, and funniest moments, and the best side characters can be found here. The second half. There's one Polish guy who I would guarantee will steal the hearts of thousands. Please hang in there. This is gold. There is gold buried in this game. It's not even that hard to prospect out. And this is VG20. Yeah, so VG2040 247 gave that review, and they give it 100.
They have moments where they're brutal with the reviews too, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That
So
what I like most about that is you can tell maybe they wrote that with like they wanted to quit at one point, but they're like, I'll just keep going through, and then the
yeah,
game
that's
just
what's up.
started to win them over.
Which
That's the way that like reviews written to me.
yeah, which surprises me because they gave it 100. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
right.
like at first maybe they weren't all in. I saw Destructoid said, which I was talking about earlier, which I was joking about. I think before we started, this year just started, and it's too early to be talking about game of the year. But for me, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is already at very least a contender. That's what I'm hearing, Mike. That's what I'm hearing around
Dude,
the.
I need to go through and just play all the game of the years.
Yeah, that's true. I've played a few of the game of the years, but I mean, Witcher 3 is one of them I'm playing right now. So
Yeah,
that was game
yeah,
of the
that's
year
a good
winner.
one though.
Um,
That's like one of the best ever game of the years,
yeah,
honestly.
Dragon Age Inquisition I think was also game of the year. It's another kind of
Yeah,
fantasy game. So I don't know. Yeah, there's tons of game of the years I haven't played. Like God of War, that was game of the year.
yeah.
Um,
God of the Year's, yeah, God of War is really
It
good.
Takes Two,
I'm saying
one of my
God of the Year.
favorite. Oh man, we're
It Takes
almost
Two is amazing. I know a lot of people that
we're
like
almost
hated that for some reason, but I don't think maybe they just haven't been in a relationship where you're fighting
done.
because that stuff, man, ooh, it hits.
Go on, man. Go a month and a half. Get that split fiction. I'm so ready.
Oh yeah, I can't. Really excited for that. Honestly, very very cool. Bring games back, you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good story to have, man, because makes me optimistic for more and more games that are coming out.
Yeah, it's exciting to be at a time where it's still like you still get these solid games are coming out seemingly out of
Yeah,
nowhere. And it's I don't know, it's just the story of Warhorse 2 and how their team grew over the past like they actually like it was like the first game was I believe the first game was based on like Kickstarter. They had a small team, but now they actually had money and funds to actually like build a full team and actually try to make what they wanted to. And it seems like
yep.
they did. So Gotta give him props.
It's very true. It's very, very true. It's just good to see overall. Like a lot of people, for whatever reason, they get stuck on whatever game they're playing, and they're like, "Oh, there are no other good games out. It's terrible. We don't have any options." And then games like this come out, and it might not be what you're used to playing, but if it's a good game, it's a good game. Like, give it a shot, man.
It's a new
There are
experience.
genres where I'm locked in. Like me right now, Doom Dark Age is coming out. That's my game. You know,
It's the
you're not gonna be
one.
able to talk to me when that comes out. But there are other games where I
One.
got super excited, and I wish I had like stuck with it. So it could happen to anybody, you know.
Yeah, for sure, dude. But should we end on kind of a depressing
Ooh,
note?
yeah. Yeah, kind of depressing, but kind of just like a quick update, I think is worthwhile. Um, so Dr. Disrespect partnered with a studio called, well, the developer is Dead Drop developer, and I'm pretty sure the main funder, uh, what's it called? I guess funding partner was Dr. Disrespect. And obviously, after everything that went down with him, and all like the allegations, all the things that went out, and he pulled out of Midnight Society, or really they like dropped him because it was like this bad publicity. Get out of
Yeah.
here. Well, Midnight Studio, it shut down. So Dead Drop developer ran out of funding, according to a former employee. This has come from GameIndustry.biz. It is Sophia McAvoy. We've covered her work plenty of times. So ultimately, Midnight Studio is now shutting down. The studio has announced the decision on January 30th in a post on social media, making 55 employees redundant in the process. And the quote goes, "We are actively seeking other game studios that would be interested in offering employment opportunities in our talented team. We express our sincere gratitude to each and every one of our community members and are deeply sorry we were unable to reach our ultimate goal." Level designer Brad Boyce shared on LinkedIn that the team was given a 2-day notice before the news was announced. That sucks. So Boyce went ahead and said, I assume this is on LinkedIn, but this is a quote from him. The team at Midnight Studio got our 2-day notice that the studio is out of funding and everybody needs to pack up and go home. Everyone I worked with at Midnight Studios was absolutely amazing at what they do and are now jobless. I thought we had much, much more runway with funding. Last September, Midnight Society was affected by a round of layoffs due to multiple unexpected challenges in recent months. That quote, I think, is they lost funding because the main guy that's mentioned in this main topic is in June, the developer announced it would be parting ways with co-founder and streamer Guy is his first name, Dr. Disrespect Beam. There were following allegations related to his 2020 Twitch ban relating to messaging a minor in 2017. Um, and this is going from the studio. It said, in order to maintain our principles and standards as a studio and individuals, we needed to act. For this reason, we're immediately terminating our relationship with Guy. So who knows what ended up happening? Because it's like, I'm sure Dr. Disrespect wasn't the only funding partner. They had to have had more. And if they terminated that quickly, do you think they terminated knowing that they were going to falter, or do you think they terminated to like satisfy other investors, and then ultimately the other investors were like, yeah, this isn't for us anymore? I mean, keep in mind, Midnight Studio or Midnight Society was not really shown off at all, other than like a couple of like map renderings, a couple of like, I don't know, not just mop renderings, but like model renders of player combinations. And they also were bragging about having NFTs and crap in their game. You know, it's like, I think that kind of died off, right?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know, dude. I didn't hear too much about Dead Drop, other than the obvious logo that's showing in the article. I mean, I didn't see really anything on it, and I don't know. It'd
It
been
was,
in development
yeah,
for a few years. Pretty sure, but
a long time.
yeah, it's like you don't really see much about it. And then it's just it's a weird situation too because they're like, oh, we weren't aware we were running out of funding, and it's like, there was like no
Mm.
communication anywhere about like there were
Yeah,
like you. It's just I don't know. It's wild to me
it's
because it
sketchy.
just shows
It's
you how
sketchy.
it shows you if it really is true how fractured the communication was with the team and executives to be like not even tell them like give them like a burn rate or anything over the past few months about how much the funding they actually had left. There's either just straight up negligence or there's something else going on or I don't know. I just find it hard to believe where it's like, the developers had no idea that they actually ran out of runway in quotes.
Yeah,
But it's a weird situation,
it's
man.
not a good look. I
Yeah.
feel like if some people started diving into this, they'd probably find out that it just doesn't seem ethical. There's more to this story.
That's what I feel like
I
too.
feel like.
I don't know. Yeah, there's something missing. I feel like, and we'll probably, I don't know, a year from now, there'll be something, probably more info. Maybe Jason Schreier would dig into it. Maybe our dude, Jason, bro. I don't know.
Honestly, you might be able to. I mean, the last. So I'm over here looking at the last post they had on LinkedIn, and it was for a job opening 9 months ago for a develops engineer,
Yeah.
senior back end software engineer. 9 months ago, and that's basically tying into when the Doctor Disrespect stuff happened.
Like,
So
yeah,
maybe they were like, okay, we're out, we're done completely.
yeah. 'Cause, I mean, I don't know. It's crazy to me to think that they lost significant enough funding after Doctor Disrespect left, where it was like we just can't stay open. Cause I don't know, dude. I mean, I know Doc's I know dude's an easily millionaire, right? But I don't think he had.
Yeah.
I feel like he didn't have that much to. He didn't have that kind of money to fund an entire studio. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe dude has his money right. It's just crazy, man.
Yeah, who knows, man? They could have gotten into this like for the wrong reasons too, because most of the stuff they've even shown, it seems to just be like audio visual stuff. It's not like actual game
Yeah.
info, you
Interesting.
know? I don't know, man. It's just not good to see. It's kind of frustrating. I feel for all the employees, but what else do you say? It's just a little quick update, I think, about the Doctor Disrespect drama that we covered for the longest time. Because you and I were probably talking, like, what does this mean for the studio? Are they actually going to release the game? Because Doc was out here screaming up and down that this was his game. He was
Yeah.
so excited about it.
Pride, baby.
Eh, Yeah, and that stuff imploded pretty quick.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, maybe he was the lead
That's
developer.
crazy.
Who knows?
Yeah.
They
He was
lost the
working. Maybe
vision.
he was in the trenches, bro. He was the director.
Mm-hmm.
They just dead.
Could have been. He's co-founder. Who knows what he had?
Definitely had that significant say, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember how excited we were that streamers and video game like content creators were making studios.
Yeah. Dude,
Remember that?
I
We were
I
happy about Shroud, we were happy about
uh,
Doctor Disrespect, happy about Nade Shot and
yeah.
100 Thieves.
Which I
Uh,
recently, because I thought recently, like, what happened to? Except I heard the Midnight Society, I was like, oh, what happened to the Project X thing that 100 Thieves working on? As far as I'm aware, it's still in production. But we haven't really heard significant updates, and I think it's 23. So,
yeah,
I don't know. It's
well they made a huge announcement that it was happening initially, and
yeah,
then they started
because
adding
that was
more and
in
more things
yeah
later on.
yeah because I saw back they announced it in 2022. It was like towards the
Yeah.
end of 2022. It was announced. Um, and then maybe it's the middle. I can't remember. It was 2022, and then 2023 they had a significant update like middle of the year. But ever since then, it really hasn't been much. Like I was checking their Twitter, not really much since then. Um, so I don't know if that game's still ongoing. Nate Shot, I think briefly, like it was briefly touched on in like an interview we did recently, where like he didn't really talk too much about it, but it was kind of in passing. The interviewer was like, "Oh, you got so much stuff going on 100 Thieves. You got the game studio, you had Juvie, you had all this stuff." And so it was kind of mentioned, but like it also like they never got into detail about it. So
Yeah.
kind of just like I don't know, just had me curious. And yeah, Shroud's game, I'm not even keeping up with that. I have no idea where that's at.
Yeah, I don't watch his content as much as I probably should. The last thing I watched for him was just being excited about his I think it was Frag January or Fragathon in
Oh
January. It was
yeah,
the entire month of January where him and his buddies were going to be fragging out, but then the fires happened in California. So,
yeah,
yeah, that
yeah. I think
took
I
kind
want
of
to.
hatchet in his plans.
Yeah, I wanted to say why didn't he announce it for like February? Like, isn't it going on now, or was it January? I can't
Is it? I mean, if it's going on right now, he should be live now. So
remember. Yeah, because I saw
let
clips
me
of him
look.
playing Rock Band with like other people, and so I was like, this is really odd. But then I was like, oh yeah, Fragathon. Whatever.
Oh, he has 4 days left.
Okay.
Well, that's what his status says. So 4 days left. Toast tournament now. Fragathon day 27. So he's been doing Fragathon this entire time.
Okay. Gotcha.
I need to get on his YouTube, man, because I haven't been like I'm subscribed to most content creators online, and I I'm not getting notifications when people post. Well, to be fair, now that I'm looking at it, he doesn't post as frequently as he probably should.
Yeah, I mean, only the most I watched Shroud was PUBG days and a little bit on Valorant days.
Yeah.
So that was really it. And outside of that, I don't really watch him too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all the same stuff. I feel like live streaming is going downhill.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Like, dude, the only people popping off live streaming, bro. I mean, the biggest innovator right now is Kai Cenat.
yeah,
Dude's actually like making waves and trying different
yep,
things. So, I mean, that's it. And he's reaping a lot of benefit for it, dude. And so seeing someone like that, like I love seeing his clips on Twitter. It always made me laugh. Whether it's
yeah,
like him, dude, like he was on the Grammys red carpet, and I was watching that dude just like smiling. It was so funny. Just like seeing him interact with celebrities, and it
it's
was
so
good, man.
crazy.
Yeah, people like that, dude, they keep the industry being different,
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's the natural change of the guard, of just I don't know, man. Like having new content creators come in and start taking over. I mean, that's always a good thing. And I feel like the appeal of being a major content creator has been dying down more than ever, just because it's like it's people don't have the time anymore,
Yeah,
and it's really difficult to hold attention.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think attention's a big thing. I don't know. I also feel too that it's just like people. I think more and more people are exposing the kind of darker side of being a content creator
Dude,
and like how much you have to deal
yeah,
with. And so people are probably less inclined to want to do it because of that. Um, so
I think you're probably right.
I think that's part of it. I think social media is just kind of like still trying to figure itself out, and it's just getting weirder and weirder. So I don't know. It's just crazy. Dude. We're still. It's just crazy to think that like YouTube's only 20 years old,
Oh
Instagram's
yeah,
like 15 years old, like Facebook is 20,
old.
a little lower, a little is on 25. I don't know, but like yeah, it's just crazy to think like we're still in such an infancy with this social media stuff. When you really think about like in comparison to like other media and whatnot, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see the downside of AI in terms of content creation, just because it's like one, I don't like the fact that the algorithm is always forcing me the same exact thing every single time.
Yeah,
I like variety, so that's very frustrating. I don't get a new experience unless I go in like private mode in a lot of moments. A lot of my social media feeds are just full of garbage, and I can't even go on there anymore.
yeah, it gets bad
In
on some
terms
apps.
of
Yeah,
yeah, and then it's like if I want to discover something new, like live streamers on Twitch seems to be the only viable option for now. And when I'm on there, it's like this isn't fun. Like basically, it's
yeah.
like there's no discoverability. Most of the content creators are view botting out of their mind. Like some of the biggest content creators on there, they have like thousands of view bots. I I
Don't
don't
surprise
know.
me.
Did you ever look at? By the way, side note, we're kind of wrapping down the show anyway. Did you ever get into this theory of the dead internet?
Dead. I don't.
I remember,
I mean, I think we may have talked about it briefly, but
yeah, it's most interaction that's going on in online is actually done by bots. It's not real.
oh yeah, oh man, it's crazy
Yeah,
to
the
think.
internet's actually dead.
It's
Is the
crazy to think
theory.
about it.
It's very true though, and it's becoming more and more. I remember I saw something most recently where it was a content creator. They said it was Neil deGrasse Tyson actually. He said he envisions a world in the future where AI will become indistinguishable from the news that you intake on a daily basis. So people that are right now are like saying, "Oh, I don't like take in fake news because it's all fake," or like any type of social media stuff because it's like, "Oh, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake." AI will then get so good that you can't tell what's fake and what's not, and
Yeah,
it'll eventually just kill the internet and what it could be used for, like an open library for everybody to learn things. And now you no longer know what's real and what's not, and then you have to get all your value from experts in the field.
yeah.
So it's like we'll just have this recycling machine. Like
Yeah,
that's a
dude, if people are
global.
chasing real life, dude, get off the internet.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
If you go
The
outside,
thing
you're
for
like
me, man. Yeah,
Matrix.
just go
What?
outside, touch grass.
It's like,
That's what
but
I'm
if you go
into.
outside, you're like, oh, that's not real online, dude. Like, is this grass real, dude? Is the sky real? Is my
Yeah,
neighbor real, dude? You start questioning everything, you go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Psychopathy sets in.
basically we're talking the Matrix now. Let's go.
Neo jumps down. You're like,
It's
oh my
true.
god, it was real. And you get beamed up, reborn in a pod.
Could
Crazy.
you imagine just going up?
You get beamed up and you're
soaring
at
up
the pod.
to
You're like, oh, and you got like goop all over.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. All right, cool, man. I'm ready to wrap up the podcast. If you are, let's go get some food. Let's let the people go. If you made this far, we absolutely appreciate you. As always, we have links in the description below. You can check it out. We have social media links, but most importantly, we have the articles that we've covered in the links below. Tiny URLs, check them out. Show some love and support. What else is there? Subscribe to the channel. Say what's up. You got LinkedIn, every socials at the bottom. And that's really all I got to add. Kyle, do you have anything before we let the people go?
Nah, man. Good up. We rambled today, dude. Thanks if you actually stuck around, dude. That's impressive.
We did kind of ramble. We did kind of ramble, but yeah, I had fun. I enjoyed some stuff.
I did too.
That was cool. But without further ado, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you in the next week's episode. Yeah, and I'm just excited to see you guys again. Appreciate you. See you later.
All right.